Hi, Founder fans. Jason here, and today's founder is John Filson, the man who made Daniel Boone into a legend. Now, John Filson actually grew up in Pennsylvania and went to the West Nottingham Academy, which was a pretty important school. It had a whole slew of important future founders that went there as children. Now, Filson ends up growing up and joining the Continental Army. He was a young man when the war breaks out for independence, and he joins the Continental Army. He signs up as an ensign, which is one of the lowest ranking officers you can be, but an officer nonetheless. Unfortunately, though fighting bravely, Filson is captured during the New York, New Jersey campaign, and he's sent to prison. Fortunately for him, unlike most prisoners captured during that campaign, Filson does survive, and after his release, he does not sign back up for the Continental Army, which I know could be seen as a bit of a shame, but at the same time, he had gone to prison and survived, which again was highly unlikely. Now, he goes back to private life, but by 1783, he's ready to do something with himself, so he goes out west and he goes to Kentucky. He explores the whole area of Kentucky, which is not yet a state, but is fairly quickly getting settled, and he meets with many of Kentucky's founders, including none other than Daniel Boone. Now, what he does is he publishes a book. It's called The Discovery, Settlement, and Present State of Kentucky. First of all, he spelled Kentucky with an E, not a Y, which was fairly common at the time, although it was already changing and to a degree is a little suspicious. But it's a fun way to say it and a fun side note. But the book itself actually becomes really successful, and it's important for many reasons. First of all, it's one of the earliest documented histories of Kentucky that we have. Additionally, it attracts a ton of settlers to Kentucky, and this is really where Filson should be remembered as a American founder, was his attracting settlers to the West. But the really fun part about the discovery, settlement, and present state of Kentucky, as again his book was titled, is one of the appendixes. Now, appendices, I believe they're called, are usually supposed to be a little bit extra to add more context to the book you've published. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but ridiculously, one of the appendices of this book is actually longer than the book itself. And this part is about one particular founder that he had become friends with, Daniel Boone. Now, Daniel Boone rightfully was a real person. Let's not get that confused. Some people do. And he rightfully is known as a founder. He is one of the people who cut through the Cumberland Gap and made the name of the road escapes me. It goes by several names. But the road through the Cumberland Gap out west to Kentucky and the Ohio Valley, which also was very should be lucrative. Boone fought in the Continental Army very bravely. He was a member of the Virginia House of Representatives while Thomas Jefferson was governor. So Boone does deserve a little bit of recognition, but, well, not all founders got a big section of a wildly popular book about them, and it makes Daniel Boone kind of a legend in his own time. Now, I don't want to get too off track on Daniel Boone, but that's really where Folsom's notoriety or notability comes from, is from making Daniel Boone more famous than he is, essentially. But that's not all he did. You see, Filson was a surveyor, and he bid all over the western part of the early United States, and eventually he buys a 1/3 of an area, a big part of land, where the Ohio and Licking Rivers meet. And Filson went out and surveyed the area. He plotted out the town, and he named it. He named it Losantiville, which apparently is some combination of a bunch of different languages. It's like part French, part Spanish, part Greek, or I don't remember exactly how he came up with it. It's kind of a crazy name, and that's why they changed it. 2 years later, they changed Losantiville to Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati might not be the most famous city in America right now, but they do have several professional sports teams. It's a major metropolitan area, and it was originally created by Filson. Now, unfortunately, Filson doesn't survive that 2 years to see the name change of this city, where he owned a major chunk of land, and his family name probably should have gone down in history as one of the wealthy and powerful of Cincinnati. But he continued to survey, and he went out on a survey mission with his crew, and they were attacked by a group of hostile Native Americans who were not excited they were there. Again, this is leading up to the Northwest Indian War, which would break out pretty much right after Filson was out there. This is kind of the early parts of it, and he was could be arguably considered one of the earliest casualties of that war. He isn't, I shouldn't say killed, he's kidnapped and never seen again, presumably killed. So it is a kind of a brief ending for John Filson, the man who really made Daniel Boone the household name that Daniel Boone is. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely hit like. That'd be the best thing you could do in the whole world. And if you're new here, subscribe, because I talk about the American Revolution 7 days a week, and I'll be back with another founder for you tomorrow.